how do you get the idea right? You know. So at times you may see something and you will say, "अरे वाह, यार तो बहुत अच्छी चीज़ है, इस पे काम करना चाहिए." So like someone said कि भाई पाव भाजी, तो if you see vada pav, तो everyone in Bombay likes, right? But is there any one site which says you can order vada pav? There could be 500 variants of vada pav, right? And there could be people who want to just order sitting at home hot vada pav. But now this is one idea that you can take it forward, and someone who loves vada pav will say, "अरे बहुत बढ़िया idea है, I like the idea. Concept is very good." Now we can get it funded also because vada pav is a general thing to people will pick up. You know, at least इतना तो बिकना ही चाहिए. Colleges में डाल देंगे, उसमें डाल देंगे. So that's one idea that you have. Now, how do you vet the idea whether this is a great idea to go forward, or it's a great idea that will take you to some point, but will not take you forward beyond that. So that's something that you have to work on. So this could be taken as a basic framework for you to kind of shortlist ideas that you have. And there are much more structured way of doing it, but I'm just trying to put everything in 3 slides, so it will have its own limitation when I go through it. So usually what we say is that there is a 5C approach. When you have an idea, there is a 5C approach, what we call it as. You know, the 5C is generally the company, consumer, competition, channel, and climate. So this you should keep in mind when you think of any idea. You know, there are many filters that you can use to, you know, like really vet your ideas. But this is generally what is a kind of filter that I have used when we also have a company which do advisory for brand startups and all. So we generally look at this for not only for startups but for big brands also when they want to get into new spaces to grow. We use this as our lens to you know, like figure out whether there is an opportunity or there is no opportunity there. So first thing is, like I said, you know, a startup or a company is a vision of an entrepreneur. You know, you have to have that vision, and you need to be kind of I would say that what ये मेरा vision है. You don't have to be very democratic about it, because without a vision a company cannot go forward. The whole fundamentals of create a value, share the value, talk to the people. Finally, in the corporate world, it has to be someone who has a vision to take a company forward. We have enough examples, whether it's Steve Jobs or someone like that. If you have a visionary leader, the company goes ahead. If you have a democratic company like HP, you know where it is going, right? So you have, you know, the other example is Philips, where every 5 months, 5 years, you know, like new leader comes and the company takes a completely different direction. So somewhere you as a leader have to have vision for a company. So when I say you as a leader, it is important that when you build a team also, that team also has a common vision, common outlook, common values. You have seen what has happened to Bharat Pay right now, right? So if you don't have that values, if you don't have that vision, if you don't have that camaraderie together, it is going to collapse at one point of time. So that's important. So first thing is, as a company, you have to do a SWOT to understand what's my strength, what's my weakness. Now, when you do as individual, probably as a startup you do with individual, then you do at a company level. You will put your own strengths and weaknesses and say that, boss, as an entrepreneur, I have these are the strengths and these are the weaknesses. So I need to get, you know, someone to kind of you know, complement or supplement my weaknesses, right? He has to come in. So like I can do marketing, I can talk for hours, but technology is something that we have built our business on. So we just got a co-founder on board who is a technology guy. So that's when you have to think through how much you want to give to a co-founder, why you have to give so much of co-founder. When you build a company from a scratch and it comes to a 30, 35, 40 crores valuation, then you are little very difficult. 10-15 क्यों दो यार, मैं तो इतना मेहनत किया होगा. But you have to have that vision that this company has to become a 1,000 crore company, 2,000 crore company. So our vision has to be much larger than giving 10 crores or 15 crores or 20 crores of equity to your own team, your own co-founders and your own stuff. But getting the right people is more important. So SWOT is the most important thing when you start with looking at yourself or looking at your company. Then you look at consumer. Without a market, there is no business, right? Who's your TG? What is the definition of a TG? What is the segmentation of the market? When I say segmentation of market, like now the milk market is kind of full, right? You know the milk distribution, there are many companies who have got into it, believing that there is a big opportunity. Then there was a super specialization, A2 milk. So now third specialization, IIT milk. So you know that IIT, it's a company started by IIT, so IIT milk. So you start looking at your, you know, once the market is there, Either you become the first to enter, you will get certain advantages and disadvantages, or you ride on a wave, but then you bring your differentiation and ride on the wave. Okay? So who you want to target, you have to be very, very clear. So it can be simple saying that I can just deliver flavored milk to only colleges and with kids, where parents can pay or pay with a part of food. So you can start building your own specialization and looking at the marketplace. So who's your TG? Where's the opportunity? Then you look at your competition. Who are playing in this space and what are the differences? If you have to differentiate, if you have to find a market, you have to differentiate yourself, right? So then you start looking at competition. What is their strengths and weaknesses, and which is the gap that they left? So like in our case, we know that there are on one side we have Shopify, who can help companies to put together e-commerce store. And most of the guys are on Shopify platform. On the other side, we are there. We have our own platform where we do the e-commerce, but we provide all the value-added services that companies are looking for. So in spite of Shopify, many companies like LG, Haier, they did not have e-commerce. So when we went, we were able to get into that market, Godrej. So we picked up the Philips. So we are into that market purely because they are not looking for only a platform. They are looking for an entire solution. So that's where we come into, and that's where my strength was. So my strength was putting together a solution for them. So that's what we did. So that's why you look at competition. Who's my competition? How can I attack the competition? Then once you know all these things, you identify the channels, whether you want to go direct or you want to go indirect. Today, still I would say that online is a big opportunity, but offline is equally big opportunity. It is not even tapped into in proper way. So once you get into offline, then you can build online also. So that could be one way. And of course, finally is that what you get into, the climate is right for you to do the business. Like at this point of time, if you want to get into pharma, it's a little challenging, pharma distribution, I think pharma tech or something like that, because government is also not very clear on its, where government wants to. Tomorrow it can just say that because pharma can't be sold online, your medicines can't be sold online. So what are you going to do in that case? So that's something that you will have to track. So this is one lens to look at. And just to summarize on this part, now this is something that you can really take home, and just something which I also copied and pasted it here, not something that I've really researched and figured out in my life. But it's very, very commonsensical stuff, but we miss out when we do this. First thing is you build something that is nobody wants. The failures if you see of startups, you become so passionate about your idea that you forget that what is happening around you. And I've seen this with many founders, and especially the tech founders. Tech founders don't have an idea about the market, and they believe that ये technology solution बहुत ही बढ़िया चीज है मेरी लाइफ में. वो खाली तुम्हारे लाइफ में बढ़िया चीज है, किसी को चाहिए नहीं यार वो चीज. So equally important is also to realize the market, and if you are more on the tech side, take out time when you do a startup to go to the market, meet the client, understand the client, build that capability. If you can't sell, there is no point putting up startup. You will not be able to survive. You have to learn to sell when you put a startup together. You get a team right, your focus has to be right. And this is again, these three things I have seen it plenty of times. Focus is like I start working on something, like in our case also, we have started working on distribution consumer durable product. Now the larger market is FMCG, but FMCG technology is completely different. Here we can do, ticket size are bigger, so we can actually spend time in kind of converting a customer. On the other side, if I want to move to FMCG, it's a completely tech-driven game. I don't have capability right now, but that's a larger market. So if I shift my focus there, my team will not know where to go. Then after that there is an extended warranty, there is ideas could be small or big. Just work on your idea to create value. When I say value, it's not about your balance sheet value. You have to create value for your customer, you have to create value for your stakeholder, and you have to create value for your channel partner. You have to take cognizance of all the stakeholders of your business. Until as you create value for all these guys. When I say value for your customer should feel that he should buy from you only. It should not be transactional value. It has to be much more. It has to be emotional value. So these are things that you should keep in mind. So finally, if I talk about putting together a successful, startup, there are we are in two ways. We are square, if you want to put it as like you have to have vision for your company. You have to, vision is beyond just transactional vision or money vision. You have to have a vision where you want to be, what is your goal, what's its impact to consumers, what's its impact to society, what's its impact to the, everything. So like we are saying digital because we believe that technology to a certain extent is alienating brick and mortar dealers. So we are trying to figure out how do we get them, bring them into the whole digital revolution. So when the company sends its own platform and then distributes its own dealers, it helps them to strengthen the relationship with their own channel partners. And also in the long run, if you are able to successfully build this model, both online and offline will survive in a positive way. So that kind of vision you have to have beyond your numbers. Values is, you have a classic example of Bharat, if values are wrong, what happens overall. Rigor is what you have to put in. So there is no easy way. It's not just a fancy office where 4 of you sit together and start ideating. I can say this is a khali office of 4 of you who are working in the marketplace. If you don't do that, you will never learn. So when I started my startup, I was picking up calls myself. Like I was talking to a customer for a month. I took one account on myself to listen to the customers. Today, when I even if I don't look at when I'm not in the room with my team, when they show me the numbers, I don't know what has happened. Kitna figure out kitna number hone wala hai. I just look at it, I come to know because I spent 1 month going through every call. So when I know the call duration, I know the time, and that's how everyone in our team first has to start with calling customers. 3 months they have to call the customers, come what way. If they can't do it, then they don't want to be. I don't want them to do the team. That's my very clear fundamental. If you can't empathize with customer, you cannot build a company. As simple as that. So that's where we are. And finally, the resilience of, I strongly believe that, in any business, if you are able to survive for 1,000 days, 3 years, you will succeed in that. But you have to stick on to that idea, you have to work hard on that idea, you have to keep modifying yourself, keep improvising your thought processes, your infrastructure, your team, everything you have to keep building. 1,000 days, चाय बनाना बेचोगे तो दुकान खड़ी हो जाएगी, चाय की दुकान खड़ी हो जाएगी, ठीक है? So that's something that is what I believe in strongly, and I believe these are the 4 pillars from a other perspective, not I want to say business perspective, from a human perspective. If you want to become a founder or put together a startup, these are the 4 pillars that will help you in, like kind of cruising through the rough weather. So that's more on the startup side. So any questions here? This is my 2 bits.
So could you tell an experience where you were on a client and something went against your deal and you worked your way around it?
No, the only client I remember which went against this was he said I will not pay you any startup fee. We have basically, when we onboard the customers, we have to charge them the entire amount, for the platform. So the only way we could build is that we increase their conversion. So we have our revenue model is fixed plus variable. So we increase the variable part of it, which was workable for them because they didn't have a market. So you will have to find a win-win at point of time. You can't say this is my model of operations. You have to keep changing your model of operations. Anything else you're looking at?
So actually, I was looking at the certain changes in the market, always which are not favorable to a special section of startups. Special section varies from changes to changes. How is it that we change our ideology to fit those changes or work ourselves around those changes? What is the general method, or in what do you think should a startup do in case there is an unfavorable change to their side?
So that's what I said. Fifth C is climate. You have to be very careful about the climate. But if your idea is only very narrow, then you will get stuck with that. Your idea has to be a little broader. Your idea is very narrow, you will get stuck with it for life also. So when you say that I am going to give only milk in my life, deliver milk only in life, then you are stuck with it. Your idea has to say I will create convenience for daily use. So milk is the basic of the daily use, but your platform is so big, so your vision is bigger. The vision is not very narrow कि दूध ही बेचूंगा मैं. तो अगर आपने वो vision आपका longer, तो don't be vision is very important. I said no. So your vision has to be much bigger. So we are saying we will provide you digital commerce solution. providing e-commerce is only one of the solutions that we have. Probably that's the only solution we have right now also. But if someone says, I want to connect with my after-sales customer, that is your service customer, which is the biggest challenge for them, and I want to convert them into business, because company like Godrej sits on a database of 30 million customer base, 3 crore customer base. They don't know how to use the customer. They are going to acquire customer outside. Means उनका पूरा सेल साल का लगाओगे तो आप लगाओ तो 40 लाख पीस बिकता है, और 3 करोड़ कस्टमर बेस है. That means your sale is 10% of your customer base as on date. Now, even if you do 1% conversion of your customer base, you're talking about adding 3 lakh customers. That's a 30% growth for a company, right? जो आज के दुनिया में मिलता ही नहीं है. Means Godrej must have been growing at a 5%, 10% every year. If you are able to convert it, so we are now, their whole interest in us is not just providing a digital commerce platform for them or e-commerce platform for them. They are saying you help us in converting this customer base. So our vision is saying we will connect, or we will work to one point where it gets, kind of, we are able to marry the data from different points and create opportunities to sell products or services. So that's where we work on. So your vision has to be slightly bigger. It can accommodate certain changes in the marketplaces there. If you are very narrowed down, कल गवर्नमेंट वाला दूध तो नहीं बेच सकते, क्योंकि वो तो सब तो भाई उनके पेट पे लात मार रहे हो जो बाकी बच्चे हैं, तो फिर तुम्हारी तो बिजनेस बंद हो जाएगी वहाँ पे. So you have to be very careful where I can, थोड़ा बहुत तो आपके पास room for playing around होना चाहिए, मतलब चैलेंजेस होते हैं.
अगर मतलब हमारी बिजनेस में अगर कोई यूनिकॉर्न कंपनी है, मतलब उसके साथ कम्पीट कैसे करेंगे अगर हमारा कोई यूएसपी नहीं. समझो मैं आगे जाके कोई हेडफोन्स का स्टार्टअप खोल रहा हूँ, तो मैं बूट के साथ कम्पीट कैसे करूँगा?
कंज्यूमर का आज नीड गैप कहाँ पे है? आपकी जरूरत क्यों है मार्केट में?
वही तो, अगर मैं
जरूरत ही नहीं तो आप आगे क्या करोगे? The first thing is a need, no? There has to be, हमने वो 5 स्लाइड में जो पहला स्लाइड था, ये कंज्यूमर नीड होना चाहिए पहले.
बोट की भी कोई नीड नहीं थी ना, पर उसने भी यूएसपी मिल रहा है मार्केट में.
बोट की नीड ये नहीं थी कि मार्केट में जो अवेलेबल थे एट दैट प्राइस दे वर नॉट अवेलेबल. So he brought a great product at a good price. So that was his USP, and he was focused only on one segment. He didn't go all over the place at one time. He said, I will give you great hearing experience at an affordable price. Right? They started with that. Then they are not still spreading into 50 categories. They say, okay, that is done. I will give you digital experience, whether it is in terms of watch or something like that. So they are sticking to that area. If you have something like that, there could be much more. You can give vision plus seeing, no? Your strategy could be at 3,000 rupees में वो कितने में बेच रहा है? 1200 में बेच रहा है, 500 रुपए में वायर्ड बेचता है, 1200 रुपए से 1800 रुपए में वो you give you the Bluetooth, right? You say at 2,500 rupees I'll give you some glasses where you can see the movie also, no? If you can build that to 3,000, he basically kind of democratized the entire product, right? And give you a good product, what you otherwise had to pay. Sanitizer लेना था 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 से नहीं मिलता नीचे, तो उससे बोला 4,000 का प्रोडक्ट मैं 1,200 रुपए दूंगा आपको, और कुछ नहीं किया उसने उसके ऊपर. And he went with the Reliance formula, saying that कि मास में एक ही प्रोडक्ट लेके आओ, मास में बेचो. उनका जितना भी रेंज होगा, there are only 2 or 3 products that sells. That 550 rupees वाला उनका वायर्ड वाला और 1,200 रुपए वाला एक और प्रोडक्ट है. यही दो बिकते हैं और कुछ नहीं बिकते. और बाकी just to show the range to you. So if you say at 4,000 rupees, that means if someone wants to watch and do, I don't know what is the need there, but definitely there will be need in hearing बारे में बहुत कुछ. You want to have a hearing aid के लिए ऐसा कुछ कर सकते हो, कुछ कर सकते हो. तो opportunity तो होगी उस category में. ऐसा नहीं है कि नहीं है. There was someone who presented a case also ना बोट का. Someone in the startup in Shark Tank में आया था ना. हैमर लेके आया था ना कुछ आइडिया. तो उसको मार दिया ना उसको वहाँ पे. खरीद लिया उसने. तो उसको मालूम है कि ये मेरे को कहीं ना कहीं अटैक करेगा. So like even shoes, I'm talking about shoes, what we wear today. If you really want to get into that, someone was coming with a designer shoe, right, to take the canvas shoe and paint it. I saw someone wearing it the other day. So cool, yeah. But still not caught in a big way. Can be become a big idea if you really want to do it. Now it's completely, someone is drawing it right now, but you can always create a, like mass produce those kind of products.
At what point we should realize that we should stop burning our cash? अगर मैं एग्जांपल दूँ एक की ट्रेड कंपनी की, अभी वो यूनिकॉर्न कंपनी, और उसने अपने 3 साल फर्स्ट 3 साल जब इंडियन मार्केट में थी तो कैश ही बर्न किया, तब वो प्रॉफिटेबल बिजनेस
नहीं, वो प्रॉफिटेबल देखो कैश बर्न कर रहे हो वो इन्वेस्टर का कैश.
पर अभी उनका कस्टमर एक्विजिशन देखे तो अभी सारे प्रीमियम कस्टमर्स हैं उनके पास, तो आगे जाके वो प्रॉफिटेबल तो होनी चाहिए ना.
So 3 phases of customer acquisition होता है usually. मैंने जो अभी सीखा है 1 साल में, because we launched this Ayurveda business, and again the vision is different there. You know, the vision is saying that during the COVID time, not many guys jumped into the Ayurveda bandwagon, and they are everything you have to pay. You can't do anything yourself. You will need a CA, you will need a CS. Without that, you can't run a business. So you'll be paying them a lot of money. So if you're thinking of starting a startup, 1,50,000 रुपये आप साइड पर रख लो for CA. Whether you make money or not, he has to be paid on time. So he will take his part of money. So that is something that you have to worry about. GST filing, other things are not filing. Otherwise, there is not too much of legality. It's just that last part would be the agreement that you reach between you, the partners. It's something that you have to be very careful, because never do anything saying that, यार बाद में देखेंगे. जब भी पैसा आता है ना, थोड़ा बहुत तो रंग बदलते ही आते हैं. The best of the friends also. I can tell you that. I have so better it's be very transparent in the beginning itself and get everything documented in your documents. Like it has a legal agreement you sign. This is what you are going to do. This is what your expectation. This is what we are going to do together. This is your stake. This is my stake. This is what you expect. On legal side, definitely, but otherwise also you should have a very clear chat. Don't think we can discuss tomorrow. I want to get him on board. Let के आ जाता हूँ फिर करते हैं. होता नहीं है बाद में. तो बाद में वो that starts building it. So if you need to grow a little, then you will have challenges on that. Better to clear off all these things in the beginning itself. So on a legal side, honestly, there is not too much to worry about. You will have a good CA who will guide you. Without CA, you can't do a startup. Like you can have a lot of experience, but nothing will happen, nothing will move. You need a good CA to work with it, and there are legality point of view. There are only 2 or 3 things that you take care of. How do you register your company? That you have to be careful. If you think it has to be private limited, all documented है, कुछ भी नहीं कर सकते आप, वैसे ही करना पड़ेगा आपको. इसके अलावा कुछ कर सकते हैं, and that is you have to have. There are certain things that is just on the paper, like board meeting every quarter, never happens. But you put it on the board, say कि last जिस दिन फाइलिंग करता है सब 4 बोर्ड मीटिंग एकत्र होंगी, कभी नहीं है उसको. But yeah, shareholding pattern, your paid up capital, these are things that you will have to think through a little. It's not something that it's a mistake that you cannot correct yourself. Or I would say it's not a mistake. I would just say it's not a decision that you cannot, work on it later. It can always be worked on. There is no challenges. More about you and your co-founders whom you want to work with. Individually, it's very difficult to work, but you can start off a business individually, but you should get partners who can work it. उनके साथ ट्रांसपेरेंट रखो, everything legal. You should have a good lawyer who will draft. It will cost you money, maybe around 30,000-50,000 rupees to draft a good agreement on that. But do that very due diligently, very transparently. Sit across and discuss it on. That I believe is more important than putting up a company, because your wealth can be taken away if it's with your wrong partner. So it's a classic example happening right now in front of us, right? All the effort will go waste, and if you are not a right partner, we will take you for a ride out at some point. So that's more or less. I don't know whether I was able to answer your legal questions very well, but I'm telling you there is not too much to worry about. Get your idea right, get a good team right, go in the market with your idea. Don't worry too much about, and don't worry about who will copy it. Or who copy it. Finally, I would say the most important thing for a startup is not about idea. It's about execution. It's only about execution. Idea is only 5% of the entire process. 95% is only execution and execution and execution. Nothing else. If you can't execute, the greatest idea will fall flat. And if you can execute, even a small idea can become a brilliant thought. Baiju hai kya? Nothing great, no? It's been all something or something else. It's all available somewhere. We put together something and started up. It's not that it was a unique concept by itself. He was